Welcome back to another edition of Talking Ball. We're continuing the off-season roster change updates, if you will, for now until we've got the schedules out so we can do full predictions on the 2025-26 season. We're continuing today with, as you guys know, you've clicked on this video, Syracuse basketball. It's coming off a tough year for Syracuse. Honestly, a couple of tough years. The last handful of years for Syracuse basketball has not been what it had been in the past. 14 and 19 this past season. Dealt with a number of injuries, especially to their two best players, Donnie Starling and Donnie Starling. Geez, I combined them. Donnie Freeman and JJ Starling. And, those are the only two guys who are coming back. They lost a number of guys to the transfer portal. But honestly, not the worst thing. They lost 6 guys to the transfer portal. They had 4 guys who ran out of eligibility quickly. Eddie Lampkin, Naheem McLeod, they're 2 centers, although McLeod really didn't play very much. Lampkin played a lot, are out of eligibility. Jair Davis and Jaquan Carlos, 2 guys who had prominent roles in rotation. Thought Jair Davis gave them good minutes at times. He's also out of eligibility. Chris Bell had a disappointing season, I would say, last year. Entered the transfer portal. Lucas Taylor, Elijah Moore, Petr Majstorovic, Chance Westry, and Kyle Cuff. So 10 guys gone from last year. 2 guys return, JJ Starling and Donnie Freeman. And with that, let's check out the current roster here for Syracuse. So we're going to start off with how we're going to go in the order they've got it. And I'm going to give you guys a little bit of color as we go. Syracuse, they bring back these 2 guys. We'll start here, then we'll get to the touted freshman and Sadiq White. So Donnie Freeman, JJ Starling, they're 2 best players from last year. They get them back. Really big pieces for Syracuse. Freeman was a guy at the start of the year. There was definitely talk about him being one and done. The injury really hurt him in that aspect. He didn't play really after December, early January. And Starling, he came back, but it was a tough year for the program. Now, with that being said, those 2 guys had pretty good years. Starling averaged 18 points, 4 rebounds, 3 assists. And in only 14 games for Freeman, 13 points, 8 rebounds. So pretty good numbers for those 2 guys. Now, Sadiq White is coming in, highly rated recruit, top 30 guy on most of the recruiting boards you'll look at. 6'9" freshman, very intrigued by what he's going to be able to do. Seems like more of an inside scorer than an outside scorer. You've got a couple of transfers here in Nate Kings and Tyler Betsy. Nate Kings listen, if there's one area where Syracuse you could poke holes at in particular on this roster for this season, it's going to be the 3-point shooting across the board. Nate Kings is not the guy who are going to poke holes in that aspect, though. He's a great addition, 12 points a game, 45% from 3 last year at Oregon State. I think he's going to be a vital piece for Syracuse this year. And then Tyler Betsy, a guy who was a top 40, top 50 recruit last year, who was at Cincinnati, 6'8" forward. They've got a lot of guys who are 6'8", 6'9" at Syracuse. Keon Anthony and Luke Fennell. Luke Fennell coming over from Australia. Don't expect him to get a lot of playing time, the 6'6" wing, but hopefully he can stick around for a year or 2 and develop for Syracuse. And Keon Anthony, Carmelo's son, a little bit the second highest rated recruit in their class, a little behind Sadiq White, but it's certainly a guy who knows how to score the ball. I'm very curious how it's all going to sort out at Syracuse. Next, Ibrahim Saore and Nate George. Both guys transfers from Georgia Tech. Saore, he is a switchable center, even though he's a bit undersized at 6'9", gives you good defense and rebounding. Stats weren't impressive last year, to be fair. 3 points, 4 rebounds, just under a block per game in 20 minutes during conference play for Georgia Tech. But we'll get to it in a little bit. I think they've got a solid, not spectacular, but solid 1-2 punch at the center spot with Saori. And then Nate George. He led the ACC last year in assists per game at 6.5, averaged 12 points a game. Got better as the year went on, improved from his freshman year to his sophomore year. I really like the fact they got him. He's going to be their point guard, their table setter. I think it's going to make some of the guys who didn't have great shooting seasons last year, the two returners in Starling and Freeman, I think their percentages will go up having a table setter like Nate George. Moving on. Got another freshman in Aaron Womack. Womack, don't know a ton about, but he is 6'6". We will see if he ends up cracking the rotation. William Kyle is who I was alluding to with the other half of the center rotation. I like what they did, learning from what they had with Lampkin. They've got a couple of guys who are going to be much more mobile, athletic players. Kyle, look, last year at UCLA, he didn't get much run. But the year before at South Dakota State in 2023-24, 13 points, 6.5 rebounds, over 1.5 blocks. There might be something to William Kyle. And Bryce Zafir, I'm not expecting much from Bryce Zafir. 5 points, 2 rebounds, 2 assists. Not a ton there for me to say, especially coming from Montana State. It's going to be a tough adjustment, I think, for him moving into the ACC, which I expect to be improved over last year. And that rounds out the Syracuse roster under Coach Autry. I think they're going to be better this year. I thought they'd be better last year, but I'm doubling down. This is going to be a better Syracuse team, and you'll see when I make my predictions. I will give you guys what I think their record will be over the season, but we got to wait until we've got all these non-conference games sorted out. Please like this video, subscribe to the channel, drop your comments below, all that good stuff. It helps the algorithms. Until next time, peace.